The following podcast is recorded and produced by the Podcast Precinct in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com. The Podcast Precinct. Consistency, creativity, culture.
Could be worse.
All right. Hello and welcome to the Sci-Fi Update. I'm your host, Tony Harper, and I have with me in studio again, Dave Clark.
Hey, everybody.
We've set up some different camera angles now, so things look a little bit different for you. If you're watching us on YouTube, I can actually be looking at you a little bit more. Hopefully this works.
It's almost
We'll see how
creepy.
it goes. Yeah, right?
Look into my eyes.
All right, so for today's episode, we're going to start off with the news as we usually would. Let's see. Star Trek Strange New Worlds get a tie-in book called Strange New Worlds, The High Country. It's supposed to be released in November and written by John Jason Miller.
Excellent. I love a lot of the Star Trek books.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. I've read way more than I ever realized. And one day I looked in my shelf downstairs and there's like, oh, wow, there's like 30 of them in here.
Nice, nice.
But they do it like Star Wars where there's a lot of different writers writing.
Yeah.
And so some are better than others.
Cool. All right. I don't read a lot of the Star Trek or Star Wars books. I've read a few, but not a lot.
Try the Admiral Thrawn series for Star Wars. Superb.
Cool. I will. Village Roadshow is producing a new sci-fi horror film called Fritzchen, which will be an adaptation of a 1953 short story written by Charles Beaumont. Beaumont also wrote Shows of the Twilight Zone in 1964, and the 1964 movie The Mask of the Red Death.
Oh, that is a good one.
So,
I mean, it's B, but it's a good one.
but yeah, but I mean, like I said, he's done a lot of stuff, so he's not new to the sci-fi world.
I think
Yeah.
Max von Sydow might actually be in that one, but I could totally be wrong and just be remembering the wrong thing.
I still don't know a whole lot about either one of those, but new sci-fi show.
There's one on Amazon coming up. Actually, it just dropped Friday, so that would be yesterday's recording. Outer Range with Josh Brolin.
Yep, we mentioned that in a show you were on not too long ago.
Yeah, but I'm not smart. But now I saw the
Have you
the trailer.
seen it yet?
No, I didn't watch it last
I
night
didn't
because I
watch it
didn't
yet
want to
either.
watch it before the show. And I love Josh Brolin, even, Jonah Hex, Josh Brolin, which I am ashamed to admit I did like that movie. So I'm really looking forward to it. Now that
Nice.
I've seen a trailer for it, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I haven't even really watched the trailer for it. I did mention that it was out, and I kind of looked at the trailer a little bit before our last episode when we discussed it, but not like I didn't. It was a 2-minute trailer, and I think I watched 15 seconds of it. I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. But I got 2 other shows that I'm watching right now: Moon Knight and Halo, and
I
along with my
didn't
other
watch
stuff.
this week's Moon Knight, so
I've watched both before the show, but we're gonna save the Halo
That
true
wasn't
Halo
I
discussion.
wasn't saying anything about Halo. I was gonna say I'm not a Moon Knight fan, but I love what Oscar Isaac is doing.
Oh, it's fabulous so far. There's disappointment in my news later on, and I'll let you know.
Oh no.
All right. Let's see. Square Enix announces Kingdom Hearts 4, but there's not a release date yet. But they are going to do Kingdom Hearts 4.
I had no doubt that they weren't going to milk that one for another.
I know. I
They're
just
not
figured
bad
I'd
games.
mention it.
And the fans are rabid.
They are very rabid about it. I have yet to play it. I've seen gameplay and stuff like that. but
I've
yet to really
played
play
all
it.
the Kingdom Hearts. I've dipped my toe in all the Kingdom Hearts. I've shown up to like the immigration at the front of the desk of the kingdom, and at least signed the paperwork.
Nice.
But yeah, they're not bad games. I'm just
No,
not
they didn't look like bad games. It's just
I'm just not a big Disney fan like that. But for people who are, and the game's not bad itself. So
right. And I love a lot of Disney stuff, but I still just have not gotten into it. Yeah, that was the same thing with the Mickey Mouse painting world.
Oh,
thingy.
I actually did enjoy that. I bought the
and
peripherals
I like
and
that.
everything.
I like that a bit, but I didn't play a ton of that either. I mean, I bought it for the kids, and we played it a little bit.
Yeah, that was one of the few things I bought for the Wii U.
So, on May 6th, 50 lucky fans will get a beta key to the upcoming game Overwatch 2. It'll be given out to ticket holders that watch an Over the League event in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
So,
My kid wants to be an esport
guy.
Yeah, I don't want to say athlete.
Have you? I mean, I've tried to keep up with like the pros on Rocket League. I can't, man.
When I was a kid, I actually went with my buddy Scott to a Nintendo tournament
Right.
for Mario,
Nice.
and I came in like second or third from last because I was thinking speed run, and they were doing most points accumulated, so everyone would just not cheat but game the system. There's a section where you can hop on, for all you people who have, I keep looking over where the camera used to be, for all you people who remember Mario the original, the at the end of each level you had to climb a little set of stairs and jump on a flag. Well, there's a section in one where you can jump on a shell and it'll just get stuck on the first stair and you just keep hopping on it, and it's just ridiculous amounts of points. Everyone else is doing that, and I'm like, why are they doing that? And I'm playing the game. Something must be wrong here. So esports not my thing, but
No.
yeah, I keep telling my kid he's 16 now. Those thumbs are worn out. He's done. He's an old man.
Let's see what else we got here. Quantum Leap reboot is in the pilot
Yes.
stage
Woo-hoo!
at NBC. The reboot may include the original voice for Ziggy. And Ziggy was that smart AI that ensured that Sam and Al got to the right point in time that they were trying to get to.
Yeah, that never worked. I kind of feel bad that Dean Stockton just died then.
Yeah.
He almost got to see who would take over his job and be yelled at by all the sci-fi fans at every con, because you're never better than the original.
Let's see. Jurassic Park World Domination releases June 10th. Supposedly the last installment of Jurassic Park. I say supposedly. I mean, that's
They're
like
gonna
Kingdom
milk
Hearts.
that. They're gonna milk that cow.
And it brings together the original cast with all the new cast members.
I did see a trailer for that, and I'm looking forward to it. I've
I'm
always
looking
been a
forward to
Jurassic
it
Park
too.
fan.
I love Jurassic Park. I love the sci-fi behind that.
What amazes me is how well the CGI still holds up from the original Jurassic Park.
Right.
That were the
Well, they do a lot of now post editing a lot of those
there's a lot of
movies as
upgrades.
well, and they upgrade the CGI when they do that.
But I have actually seen it on VHS in the last couple of years, and it's good. I mean, it still holds up.
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing because that goes back to my solo episode where there was a April Fool's joke that I read, and as I was reading the article, I realized it was an April Fool's joke, and I just read it straight, and then kind of at the end mentioned this is probably an April Fool's joke about Paramount Plus re-releasing something on VHS. It was like some kind of like original Star Wars or Star Trek or something like that. And then they were going to do accidental cutovers of like hockey games or something like that.
That would be
That's what
amazing.
really like flipped me out on it. But I'm like,
That could
that would actually sell. I think if they did that, it could be really amazing. I mean, particularly those that like B flick movies and that kind of stuff.
That's actually a really good idea. We'll have to save that one for later and see if
Right.
we can make money off that. I mean,
It's like releasing it back on vinyl is how the
Yeah, that's
article went.
that's
and-
what I was thinking about. Was I mean, look how much money vinyl is now sold more than CD or DVD for the last like 3-4 years running now.
Right.
And how the hell does that happen?
I don't know. Let's see what else do I got here. Crimes of the Future will also release in June. The director is known for The Fly and
The-
Scanners,
Which Fly?
the original first.
So the one with
Yeah, what's his name?
Mark Goldblum. No,
Yeah,
not Mark.
Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. Sorry.
Jeff Goldblum.
Edit that out. I don't want the rest of the looked at the other camera again. It's not there.
Too bad it's gonna stay in there.
I don't want the Goldblum fans out there hunting me down. Mark Goldblum.
Yes, with Jeff Goldblum in it. Yeah. So there isn't too much about the plot on it, but the trailer and pictures from the film promises some very interesting visuals, and they basically The movie was about what happens to people allowed to adapt themselves to a new synthetic environment, and there really wasn't much more to go on in the article I read.
So
this
like
morning.
a furry convention, or
No, I think it was something like dystopian future, and they have this synthetic environment now that we have to live in, type of thing.
as you know, as soon as we figure out bioengineering for it, people are getting tails of cat ears.
That or multiple years or multiple stuff, and there were some very interesting adaptations that were putting in. It's like a horror flick, so
Tails
Yeah.
and cat ears.
tails and cat ears probably. So that bad news I was mentioning about Hawkeye and Moon Knight will not get a second season on Disney Plus.
Hawkeye not getting a second season doesn't break my heart at all.
I haven't even watched the first season of it though, but the reviews on it's been pretty piss poor, so I
Yeah.
don't know if I want to watch it.
Well, I mean, they could have made some basic things that would have made the show better, like
Right.
not airing it. Jesus. The writing's terrible. The action scenes are terrible. The bow work on it's terrible. I mean, it. I wanted to like it. Jeremy Renner is actually a good actor, just not in that show.
Right.
I don't know what went wrong, if it was the production company, the director, the producers, what went wrong, but it's just not good. And how low my standards are, right now I'm rewatching Iron Fist.
Good.
Just to prove to myself that it wasn't a spur of the moment, I don't like this because I'm watching Jessica Jones and Jessica Jones is good.
Jessica Jones was pretty good.
Yeah, but I was watching them together, plus Punisher and Daredevil, and then they bring out Iron Fist, and I'm like, what? So I wanted to separate and then rewatch it just to go, no, it's actually terrible.
Nice. All right.
So I'm on season 2.
Batgirl has finished filming. It's supposed to be straight to HBO Max release. They may release it into movie theaters at the same time.
I didn't realize they made a Batgirl movie.
I didn't realize they had really made this yet either until I saw the article on it.
Do you know?
There is no release date set on it, but they already were talking about doing a second movie or a mini series based off of the film.
So are they using the same? Do you know if they're using the same actress from the TV show?
I do not know. I had it up on my phone, and I don't really
Homework
pay
for the
attention
next
to that
episode.
kind of thing yet. Well, the next episode will be a lot of actors who show up on to Star Trek and all that kind of stuff that you
Go back.
might
to
not
Max Sydow.
realize was on there. So I got to do a lot of studying this next week before I have that episode and new co-host next week. So yeah.
You heard it here, folks. He's kicking me off.
No, it's not exactly that. And the final bit of news I got is going to lead us into our topic for today. The first tricorder has been developed for NASA. All right?
Really?
Yeah, so the device takes a droplet of blood and does an entire panel. Results include things like radiation exposure, bone density loss, and a whole list of other panel stuff. And then it will provide insight similar to what a doctor would tell you about all those panels and what you can do to help fix things and that kind of stuff. And that was what makes it kind of like the tricorder and stuff. It gives you kind of the results on the back end because they're in space. You never know if they're going to lose contact with a doctor or something like that. So that's about
Doc in a
as close
box.
as we can get to a dock in a box.
Now, the real question is, does it make the cool woo, woo sound?
No, but it is a handheld device, and I think it works similar like the pinprick you would get for diabetics on your finger.
I would totally have to engineer that sound in. There's no way, as an engineer, I wouldn't put that. Even if you got to like press 2 buttons and flip a switch on the back that no one else knows about just to make it happen. Well, that's where your flip phone comes from, which
Right.
goes into today's topic.
Exactly. Science fiction that has been made into science fact. Right.
I thought I'd hop on the internet, find a couple examples, and everything would be great. Hundreds.
Millions.
Hundreds.
There are millions
And I'm
of
like,
actual examples.
oh.
I mean, we go way back in history to some of the first people that wrote science fiction, some of your first Greek philosophers, which technically wrote science fiction before it was science fiction, because we didn't even define science until late 1800s.
Yeah. I was reading in Mary Shelley's one of the first
Yes.
Gothic horror / science fiction writers. And she ties into the pacemaker. I had no idea
Yes.
she ties into the pacemaker. So many cool little facts.
the being able to replace or graft other people's hands or arms onto you when you've lost one for a reason. And
Yeah, that's
they've
straight
died for
Frankenstein and awesome.
other stuff, grafting faces onto people and that kind of stuff.
I completely think I should donate my middle finger when I die so it can continue to do its job throughout history.
I know a guy that might take that. He managed to shoot off the tip of his middle finger.
Oh, I know who that is. Yes. I forgot about that.
Right?
You know, around my house, he's actually what's it? An action word. Which one's the action word? A verb. He's a verb around my house.
Nice. Nice. So what do you got for us? What's your first
All right. I am going to
example?
totally skip Jules Verne.
Okay.
Only because he is the man who predicted the future.
He's not the only one.
Nope, but he got so many right, it's crazy.
All right.
So my first one is actually I'm going to skip. Mark Twain.
Mark Twain. All right.
Mark Twain predicted the intercommunication of telephones.
Yes.
And not just telephones, but the eventual. There's a couple of them that came up with.
But wasn't more our didn't they?
The telephone came reasonably shortly after.
Yeah.
So,
but they had Morse code and
Yep.
the
But
that
his
going on.
idea was the
Telegraph.
party line.
That was what I was looking for. The party line. Yes.
The party line and how we as human beings, and this is the real insight of Mark Twain, that we as human beings would waste an incredible amount of time just shooting the shit on the phone and listening in, because in his experience with a telegraph, it was open to the public. If you were attached to that line, anyone attached to that line could hear where that telegraph was. And he predicted that people will just sit there and voyeur on everyone else's conversations.
Yeah, but I mean, and that happens nowadays. But a lot of times, people nowadays also choose to have that happen. And we're talking about that podcast as a prime example.
And that's it exactly. That's what that's the whole point is. Podcast, Twitter especially is nothing but a party line.
Right.
And you look at it, you're like, way to go, Mark Twain.
Yeah.
If you ever make it to Elmira, they have a very, very creepy bronze statue of Mark Twain sitting on a bench.
I've been to Elmira, but I did not see that
It's
statue.
right out. It's right out in front, and I can't tell you how many times I've gone up like, oh shit, oh never mind, you're not a real person. It's super lifelike.
Is it really? I've only been there once, to the airport over there once. And
Yeah,
then
that's
I
all you
just
ever need.
didn't.
Beautiful
Not been
airport
back.
in the middle of nowhere, New York. What you got?
Well, I was going to stick with Jules Verne and the
He's
submarine,
all yours.
and the fact that he predicted, that with 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and how much the submarine and a lot of our science is done by these deep dive submarines.
And the electrical generation on it.
Yep.
I mean,
He predicted how it exactly would run, how it would function. He didn't put he did put a nuclear reactor in there.
nuclear reactor to generate electricity.
Yep.
Which is crazy because that's how we do it.
That's exactly how we do it for the Navy.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that it's not running nuclear power through the electrical lines. It's burning. It's
Creating the fusion reaction. Or
the
fission,
fission reaction is
not
creating
fusion.
steam, which
Yep.
turns a turbine, which generates the power.
Right.
And Jules Verne was dead on. It's amazing. It's amazing how accurate he was. Electrical lights in the thing. That it needed diesel generators for when it was up topside.
Right.
Crazy how accurate he was.
Yeah. Absolutely insane.
Excuse me. Sorry about that microphone. One of my favorites,
Yeah. go
Douglas Adams, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. There's no way you can't tell me that the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is not just an iPad.
But really, realistically, the only thing they got in there for Earth is harmless.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, they've just never been to Earth. That's the problem.
I mean, you have all this data space in the iPad, and all you're going to put in there is harmless?
But it had so much of the rest of the world, the universe,
The rest of the universe.
and everything.
And everything.
And I just love the title, So Long.
So long and thanks for all the fish.
So Long, Goodbye, and Thanks for All the Fish. That's one of my favorites. But yeah, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is clearly a tablet computer.
Yes.
And I'm curious.
But that was in the 90s. Like, computers are already out, so that's not a very far prediction.
It's not, but it's the style that we would and how we would use. I mean, we've got all the information in the world, and what do? Travel destinations. Where can I get a good beer? If you look at my tablet, the only thing on it is like Angry Birds and where can I get a good beer?
Nice.
I don't do anything super
Complicated
productive
with
on my tablet at all.
Really, I mean, I use my phone for everything. I check all my bank statements. I pay all my bills. I do everything with it. So much so that the laptop that I have that I'm recording all this on, I only used to record this show on now at this point in time.
Yeah, my wife went to a Chromebook because she doesn't do anything with the laptop.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, my laptop's super slow. I'm like, well, yeah, it's like 5 years old.
Oh, so speaking about the laptop thing and going back to one of our other previous shows, Artemis.
Not tangenting.
Yeah, Artemis. I have my friends who listen to the show go, when are we going to play Artemis? So I'm looking for this fall going back to playing Artemis.
Well, let me know. I'll show up.
So we're going
The
to try to get the band back together for that. We'll see what can happen.
it's a fun game. Try it.
Try it. It is very...
Artemis Starship Bridge Simulator. So ArtemisSBS.com.
Yeah. All right.
Not a
So
sponsor.
that brings me into Jules Verne and going to the moon and all that kind of stuff. He was one of the first ones to predict that.
And scarily accurately.
Very accurate.
The number of people on the ship, the weight, the fuel ratio, that it had to be aluminum, not steel, and everyone's
Right.
like, no, make it out of cold steel. Scary
Right.
accurate.
All right. So what's your next
Oh,
one?
I don't know. It's on my notes, and I stuck it under my.
Butt cheek.
Let's see. Oh, a ton for Arthur C. Clarke.
I loved Arthur C. Clarke's.
Uh,
What do you got? Give me one of them.
geosynchronous orbit for satellites. It's actually called the Clarke Zone. The Clarke Zone.
Oh.
The Clarke.
Yeah, the specific distance they
Clarke
need to be.
orbit.
The Clarke orbit. Yes.
Yeah. Again, he was another one that was, a little closer to our time, but the specifics are so.
But that's just keeping like we do. We keep up with the science news just as much as we try to get into the science fiction on stuff, just so that we can not only stay abreast of what's out there, but to kind of give ourselves some ideas of what's still possible and what people are working
What's
on.
coming. What's interesting is a lot of these guys like Arthur C. Clarke, not Carl Sagan. That's where I was heading with that one.
Like Larry
Hugo
Nevin.
Gernsback, all these guys, they all hung out with Carl Sagan.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, and I'm curious, and almost every one of them had a degree in something, biology, not Jules Verne, brain not working.
Michael Crichton.
H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells. Okay.
He was a biologist.
Right.
So all these guys have science degrees. Well, not all of them, but the majority of these guys have science degrees, and they're hanging out with people. Well, obviously not Wells. Actually, I don't know about Wells because he could have in his later years.
I don't know.
Hanging out with Carl Sagan. I mean, that's almost a cheat. So, hey, Carl,
But-
what do you see coming up on
Come
the horizon?
on. I mean, the problem with Sagan is he was more of the showman, though, than the actual scientist. And he was very good at putting what the nerds were talking about into plain English.
Science communicator.
All right, I like the term science communicator. He was a much better science communicator than he was as a scientist.
Yeah, I would love to hang out with him for just like 2 hours. I would duct tape my tangent mouth shut.
I really want to
And
get a
just
couple of my
listen.
other engineering friends on here too to just have some wild conversations because some of them can put some very unique science into something I can more understand or better understand because I never went that route. I partied my way out of Clemson University for engineering. So
I just fix broke things. Don't get me.
you're an overpaid electrician that's got an engineering degree.
Yeah, there you go. But I don't have a degree.
You don't. Oh, you don't have.
I never got a
yet.
degree.
You never got the degree.
I keep trying to explain to my kids, you don't have to have a degree to still have a good job,
You don't.
make good money, and live a good life.
Yeah.
Because he wants to be a psychologist. Oh, so disappointed. Don't let him hear this one.
But even in science fiction, it had a lot to do with psychology.
And everyone immediately thinks of Diana Troy.
Yeah, we're not talking about that kind of psychology.
Well, I mean, look at 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's exactly where you're going
Yes.
with that, too. Which was also, they consulted one of the first AI scientists
Right.
on that show for that movie to discuss how would the AI react, how would it make decisions, and I mean that's the major plot,
Right.
and it's psychology of people. Excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat here. Anyway, didn't mean to step on you there.
No, I mean I was going to go that way a little bit too with 2001: Space Odyssey, or even further on for AI and all that kind of developments on that kind of stuff. But I was going to let you continue on.
I'm okay. Trying not to cough in your mic here.
Yeah, I get that. Unfortunately, unlike you, I didn't really write anything down. I was just going to see where
I
the
see how it is.
story kind of took us, because you usually tend to
Talk too much.
have a lot to say.
Sorry.
So it's really odd when you
Oh.
don't have a lot to say because you're coughing over here. Do
Oh.
you need a drink or something?
Yeah, I
You
do. Hang on. I'm gonna
I
step
already
off
paid
camera for
for
just a second.
Paid for some of these drinks here. In the meantime, I figured we could mention AI and or how things were predicted with Sleep with Electric Sheep. Who was the author again for that one? Hamill? Huh? Philip K. Dick, right? And how he predicted basically how humans would use AI and synthetics and androids, and that's still one of the first things that humans have done with a lot of their stuff, is turn them into either sex toys or living representatives of their past loved ones.
Or the new.
And you can't hear Dave. Or the robotic slave class, which, we've been doing that for a while, though, for car manufacturing, and all that was predicted well in advance of it happening.
Oh, hopefully that fixed that. Hi, everybody.
So when he gets his headset back onto there.
All right. So the Roomba,
The Roomba. Oh, I love my Roomba.
you know who
It's-
makes it?
J Robot or iRobot.
iRobot.
Yes.
And we go straight back into it. But I watched an interview with I forget the guy's name that created the iRobot company, and his
Isn't he running Boston Dynamics now?
I don't know. Sorry, it's just right there. You get that little hot spot that just won't go away.
It's kind of dry in this building.
His as a kid, his major influence was Rosie the Robot on the Jetsons.
Nice.
Sorry, can't get that to go away.
The Jetsons also predicted some things in the future here with Rosie the Robot, communicating over
Video phones.
video phones, and having work call you at home all the freaking time on a video phone.
No, how that works. Although I don't think they'd ever dare call me at home on a video call.
No, really?
They know me better than that.
I've had them call me, and I was almost in the shower the one time. I'm like, oh, I denied your FaceTime call because I got something going on.
Julie tends to give me video calls.
Yeah.
I keep telling her don't do it because I'll show you where I'm at. Hugo Gernsback.
Okay.
Vaguely, I don't even want to say vaguely, almost specifically predicted radar.
Yes.
Bouncing electronic waves off an object and reading the return. And he is the namesake of the Hugo Award.
Right.
I didn't know that. I mean, I knew about Hugo Gernsback,
Right.
but I'm not smart enough to put those two together. I'm pretty. I don't need to be smart.
Yeah, let's go with that, Dave.
I keep
Keep
telling
the
myself that.
delusion in place. We'll just go
Someone's
on.
got to. What else we got? One I did not know. Ray Bradbury.
Okay, I've read something by Ray Bradbury. I can't remember what it's called. You got a book that goes with this?
Oh, I don't remember the name of the book.
Ray Bradbury.
Don't worry, world. I'm not sick. I'm not dying of COVID. It's just really dry in here. I got a tickle in my throat that won't go away. If you said the name of the book, I'd remember it. But he predicted earbuds.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. What is it?
Oh, Fahrenheit 451.
That's not the individual book, but yes. Ray
The
Bradbury's
Martian Chronicles, Something Wicked This Way Comes, Illustrated Man.
Illustrated Man. It's an Illustrated Man. They use basically scientific seashells in their ear.
Okay.
Earbuds.
Earbuds, yeah.
I thought that was pretty neat. I had no idea. Yeah, Ray Bradbury is another one that predicted so much. It's insane. Who else we got hiding in here? Many of these guys came up with different ways of local networking, home computers,
Uses of home computers.
Oh, Arthur C. Clarke,
Yes.
whose name did not come out properly in my notes, even though it's my last name. You think I would have figured that one out. Networking in the home. So you have a local home computer and it goes to your work, and they have a mainframe, although his idea was much larger. They are much smaller now, thankfully.
Yeah, the server units will take up the size of most desktop computers used to.
Yeah. But another one he did was voice computing. So your AI assistant, Alexa, Google. My phone didn't turn
Your
on.
Hail.
Yeah. He was instrumental in predicting that we are going to just speak to our computers, not type, not joystick input, not wires in your brain or anything like that. And
It's
just
so
have
much
conversations
easier
with it.
to do that than it is to do something else, particularly when I'm like, how do I spell this word? And it's like, hey, Siri, how do you spell bink, bink, bink? Glad my phone didn't turn off either when I did that.
We were watching something last night, and there was an Alexa in the show, and they were talking to the Alexa on purpose.
And your Alexa goes off. Yeah, that's why I don't have Alexa near any of our TVs.
Yeah, well,
We
it
have
doesn't.
one in our kitchen so that we'll play music or tell us the weather or something like that.
It doesn't. We don't usually have issues with that. Oops, my bad. Oop, volume
Sorry.
off. But the wife was in the kitchen, which is attached to the living room, so the volume was up so she could hear it. So it was loud enough to catch Alexa. And I'm like, this is what I found on the web.
Right? Do you want more information?
Ooh,
Starship.
Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
I almost said Star Trek Troopers, and again, you're gonna have to edit that out because I don't want all those rabid fans coming after me.
Yeah, you almost brought me into saying the same thing.
Those are the ones that I wrote down.
Those are the ones
But that
you wrote
was
down.
1, 2. That was like 10 or 15 of them. So I
Wow.
thought you were gonna have some ready. I'm the slacker. You're taking my position.
Yes, I did take your position. I was just thinking back on some of the stuff like penicillin was predicted via sci-fi at one point in time.
Really?
And I can't remember the story I was reading about it, but it was predicted by like the back in history, sort of. With
Well, that makes
Greeks.
sense because the word panacea would be what they were probably referring to.
Yes,
A cure-all.
it was like a Greek thing that was predicted through Greek stories.
That would make sense.
Um,
Then we've got the flip phone, which we were talking about, through Star Trek.
yes,
Gene Roddenberry.
absolutely. Which have gone away from the flip phone totally now. If you have one of those dinosaurs,
You can get a new flip phone.
you can.
They're making a resurgence again.
Well, what is it? iPhone's making one that with a foldable screen so that you can have this
Samsung.
big, small. No, iPhone was doing it too.
Oh, are they? I didn't know they were making
Yeah,
one.
they were doing one that was similar. The Samsung is already out,
Steve
but
Jobs
iPhone.
is flipping in his grave. Flip, 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 flip. I have played with the Samsung ones. They're really nice.
Don't they have a tendency to break though along that fold?
They can get like a color smear, but I haven't seen anyone with a broken one yet. And you've got the one that goes flip phone and book side.
Yeah, book side.
Folio.
Yeah,
I believe folio is what they call it. But they're super nice OLED screens. They're
Yep.
amazing. Samsung not a sponsor. Look,
no free
Samsung
shout out
and
Samsung.
iPhone. I got to use both.
Yeah, I know.
The I'm curious how aggravated the iPhone community would be with a folding phone.
Really? I don't know if they'd be all that aggravated.
Well,
I think it would just expand iPhone into other niche.
Well, I think because
people.
it would change the form factor. And iPhone people tend to be like, look, I have a new iPhone. You can tell because it's this shape. That's my mother-in-law.
It's the amount of cameras now that are on the back of the phone that you can tell which version of the phone you have.
No, it's ridiculous. They got like 5 on that new one, doesn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
I never in my life have anything important enough to take a picture of that also takes a video of in slow-mo, IR. I mean,
yeah, but I've utilized that kind of stuff for taking some pictures with my 6-inch telescope.
oh, okay, I can see that.
So I have a camera mount and actually a phone mount to mount it to my telescope, and I can use a regular telescope eyepieces and then mount my camera in behind it and take a photograph with the eyepieces.
I could totally see that being worth it for that.
For the iPhone. So at that point in time, it definitely has become worth it on that kind of stuff. But
I also was thinking about,
no, that's
my
fine.
wandering brain, ion drive engines.
Yep,
warp
predicted by
drive.
sci-fi.
Yep.
Warp drive hasn't been
Hasn't been created yet.
created. It is still predicting science future without a science basis. But that was science that's been developed because of the fiction itself. I
You got a
get
little
it.
ET in me there. I don't know what
I get it.
no, I was going to say, since we have clearly gone off the rails and forgotten to put more things in, I have a question for you then.
Okay.
All right. See, look, I'm gonna getting back on the rails. We've totally switched bodies today. What is your science fiction prediction for the next science fact?
Oof.
Can't use warp drive because we just did that.
No. Because like Boston Dynamics has already got the robotic dogs that will
that you
follow
can
you and
buy.
all that kind of stuff. Oh yeah.
That's terrifying.
Well,
Have you-
Robeson just released the trailer for my Optimus Prime, so you can now get the trailer and Optimus Prime combined total. Like they're like $2,000 now.
So you're halfway to the trailer.
Right. So
You need to get
the
some sponsors
trailer,
for
the
this so you can buy
trailer,
it.
yeah, the trailer is like another $750 for it. But theoretically, it's another remote control thing. It will automatically stand up and unfold and do a couple of other things.
You should get a Patreon page. Help me buy, or GoFundMe. Help me buy the trailer.
I might. That's the only way I can afford to do it. Like if it was like $100 or something like that.
It's $100. I'd have 2 of them.
Yeah, I would have already gotten it. But
I'd be 5 pounds lighter.
But it
from
was
not eating
$750, and I'm like, screw
Fudgy
that.
nuggets.
Yeah, I don't want to spend that much money on that.
Have you seen the Boston Dynamics dog with the rifle attached to it with the
Yes.
autonomous software for firing at people?
Yes, and the autonomous
Oh.
flying drones that do the same thing and make combat decisions. Theoretically, they're not supposed to be utilized already, but they're already being utilized. So you have that factor from Terminator, the science fiction made into science fact type of thing already happening.
I was reading an article. There is a gang in South America that was using drones with a pistol attached to it.
Yes, that's where it
was like-
initially started.
It's like, oh my god.
Ahead of time, but now they also have it developed for autonomous target selection.
Yeah, I know how well my
They
car
were
chooses
using
targets,
that
so-
possibly in Africa against certain drug lords. So
That would explain why my cocaine went up. Oh,
yeah,
or my
it's a
ground.
shame.
I don't think cocaine
You
comes
should
from Africa.
watch careful with that. I mean, at least you haven't mentioned where you work, but you don't want work to hear you say something that kind of crazy.
It's not actually cocaine. I just snort ground ivory, which would probably actually get me in more trouble. as my nose itches and I rub it.
As the show keeps circling around this toilet here. All right. But the next science fiction to become science fact. I think realistically, I think in America you're going to see robotic receptionists much more commonly. Like they've already been developed kind of in Japan, and they sort of are
And they are super creepy.
semi-autonomous. They're going to be much more utilized over here in the U.S. very shortly, I think.
I'm thinking Iron Man suits for combat.
So that is in the process of being developed. Problem is energy density
Battery
And-
storage, yeah.
and keeping it charged long enough to be able to do something useful with it.
Now, years ago when I was skinny and had a short haircut, they had all my hair. They had produced a exoskeleton, but it had a 200-pound battery pack that had to sit on the back of it, so it shortened the range. But it was really just to help lift and carry things.
Correct.
It wasn't, and it was. We're not talking.
And they've
aliens.
modified that same thing to where it's now 50 pounds, including the entire suit, that will allow you to help lift and carry things.
Yeah, it only extended what you already had.
Yeah, yes,
So-
it just assists with that kind of stuff.
But I'd do that.
Well, they are also utilizing it for those that have lost mobility due to spine fractures and that kind of stuff as well.
Go science.
Yeah, so a lot of that is out there, and there are multiple uses. It's more the military uses that concern me more than the advancements for helping people that are injured or that kind of stuff.
And in science fact, did you see the robotic bugs to help find people in downed buildings?
Yes, I have seen that.
Oh,
That
that's
was
so
science fiction
cool.
and science. Well, that's the same thing as remote surgery being done. That was science
Which I
fiction.
just had done.
That became science fact.
That was pretty cool too. I mean, they wheel you in, and you see all the little arms on top, and you're like, I'm pretty sure I'm not in a movie. Am I getting punked?
Well, and then I'm the opposite of that. I'd be like, I'm pretty sure I'm in a movie, and I just don't want this to be shown to everybody.
Oh, once they hit me with the drugs,
You were okay with
I
it.
was okay with everything.
Yeah.
They put the little thing on that said breathe deep, and I'm waiting for them to say count back, and then I remember waking up in the that's how do you get to the count back.
And you're like, what? Wait. I'm here again.
Oh, it's good stuff. The robotic snake.
Yes.
Oh man, that's a pretty cool little device.
And that thing is being utilized all kinds of different stuff. Or nano machines going inside your body. Those are also
Can't wait.
no, they already
Oh, I
are available
I
and
can't
being
wait till they give them
utilized
to
by doctors and that kind of stuff to help locate various stuff. The new
Tumors.
use was brain surgery and or brain tumors and helping find stuff and locate certain
And
things.
people were concerned about having red-colored tattoos in an MRI. Wait till. So have you had any nanobots recently?
Yeah, right?
That's a real
Exactly.
That's
It's
a real
going to be a
concept.
real concept and a real problem. And
You know
but
someone's
even
gonna lie.
MRI, that kind of stuff, or CT scans, that was science fiction before it was science fact.
Very true. I just don't have. I don't know who did it.
Like body scanners, like TSA uses, those were science fiction before they were science fact. If you're thinking on Total Recall,
I was trying to think of the name. I'm like, come on, I know the name. I know the
Total
name.
Recall. And again, it's the science isn't 100% there yet on that, but they're awfully close to doing the exact same things.
I have inside scoop on that. For
They can.
what
They
I do,
can
and
do.
it is
I
pretty
know.
cool. Some of the stuff that they're
I know.
doing now.
I know. I do too. So I get it. But
I've gotten to see some of the newer stuff,
yeah,
and it's pretty impressive.
I'm sure it is.
Uh,
The wall you walk by that will take a picture of you as you go through it. I mean, that's Total Recall
Iceland
right
actually.
there.
Iceland uses ones
Iceland
like
uses that. There's
I'm-
Border kind of uses it a little bit
that's
more for the
different.
tractor trailers and that kind of stuff, but sort of similar system.
I've gotten to actually work on that system.
Yeah,
But I'm going back to Iceland in July. I will take pictures and bring them.
nice.
If I can take pictures, I don't know if I can. They might frown upon that. I might have just gotten myself thrown on a no-fly list.
You might have. We'll see.
The tractor trailer one is actually very cool. It's a continuous picture as
you
it's
drives
stationary. You drive, you just
through
idle
it.
through it.
Yep.
There's some really cool pictures you can find online.
Of that kind of stuff, which is how I know all about it, how a lot of that works.
Did you see the one where they've got all the people in the floor of the trailer? There's like 30 people.
Yes,
under a
I
false
did
floor.
see that one. Yes.
You're like, happy cancer. Oh, so bad for you.
It is.
That's a beast of a machine.
Because that's ionizing radiation versus some of the other stuff that they're trying to do that aren't ionizing
Scanning
radiation.
proton beams. Real thing.
Really?
Yep. Scanning proton beam is the next. Scanning proton beam's not super new. I mean, it's
No,
last
it's
20
not.
years,
I've seen
but
something
the
about it, but
utilization is
that
new.
was a Star Trek science fiction thing.
Yes, it was. There's a
Because
couple
they're looking for non-ionizing stuff. Because after Star Trek realized that some of the stuff was ionizing, they tried to change their science fiction to more align with science fact, as they usually do in Star Trek.
We will not talk about the warp drives destroying the universe, and all of a sudden it's not.
Again, science fiction that was turned towards science fact.
Let's see, we already went over wormholes.
Wormholes, definitely.
Wormholes. I can't wait for wormhole travel.
Or
Slingshotting around a
no, the
Black hole?
Ansel Communications by Ender, who wrote Ender's Game.
Hubbard.
Right.
L. Ron Hubbard.
So the spooky action at a distance, the fact that we can communicate in real time over large distances
Quantum tangled.
by quantum
Entanglement. Quantum entangled.
and
particles.
they've realized how to do that. They haven't had much of a chance to send something billions of miles away to contact it in
the last
real
one,
time.
The last one I saw was I think it was a 3,000 mile difference.
Yes,
I want to say it was like CERN to California or something
like that. Yes,
And it works, and that is it's so spooky. I just got goosebumps.
right.
There's apparently a ghost nun that lives in this place. I didn't feel the ruler across the back of my knuckles. I don't know. What else you got?
What else was I going to cover?
Oh,
Well,
actually, looking at your watch, Dick Tracy.
Yeah, Dick Tracy.
Dick Tracy predicted the video communication watch.
Yes.
And he's got Apple. I've got Samsung. So
The Apple just doesn't have a camera built into it more because of a power drain on it than anything
well,
else.
this one doesn't have camera built into it either.
But there are versions
There
that
are,
do.
yes.
They have the camera that can do the Dick Tracy phone.
There's nothing I can't imagine I would love better than, hey, what's up my nose while I'm trying to talk to you. A little gripe. I'm left-handed, obviously.
Right.
The speaker and mic on the Samsung is in the left side of the watch because it's designed predominantly for right-handed people.
Right.
So if my hand's in the way, it covers the speaker.
Oh, you see, I have that same gripe here with the iPhone. It's just my hand goes up and turns it. Like I get
Oh, you hit the
pictures.
stud?
I get pictures of my iPhone camera face or the watch face by just snapping the picture.
Everyone
all
say
the
hi to
time.
Matt.
Yeah, that's the Podfather that's going through. So, yeah, you're on camera. Thanks.
Yeah, your hand looks better than my face. You can keep it there.
What else we got? I was going to say something about rocket designs and
Oh, 3D printed rockets.
oh yes, and the ability to do that kind of stuff.
There are two competing companies that I know of that are designing and currently fabricating 3D printed rockets, and the cost is so much cheaper. It's crazy. But what's cool is for anyone who does a lot of 3D printing, especially on an FDM printer where it's adding material layer by layer, not a UV printer which creates out of resin.
Right.
When they're showing this rocket, you can see the lines in it. And you're like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I
Because
do.
you know it's a structural.
I do remember, but that's something else that was predicted by science fiction: commercialization of the rockets.
Yeah.
And the fact that large corporations are going to do that, not usually run by just smart
dude.
people, but I can't wait for Amazon rockets to come up because that's coming up here eventually. I mean, after Elon bought Twitter and almost bought Twitter, I should say.
Well, he bought 9.5%, and he's currently trying to buy 48%.
Yeah, but Vanguard or somebody else bought it like 10.8% just to beat him out so that he doesn't gain hostile control over Twitter
I
itself.
don't know how hostile it is. It would be fun because then you could tweet to your car in space.
He could tweet to the Tesla that's going to somewhere like we don't even know where it's going to crash.
Yeah, I have
I
a little
mean-
concern about corporations owning space,
That is going to happen.
but I can't wait.
That
to be
is
sitting
one
in
of my
backyard.
science fiction to science facts thing I think is going to happen.
Oh, I totally believe it too. It's just human nature, but I can't wait to be sitting in my
You know,
backyard on
unless
4th of July and see a
governments
Bush beer sign in
Fight
space.
over actual control of space. That's the two ways that it's going to happen. Either governments fight control over it or corporations take over.
Where's the difference in those? Government,
Not
corporation,
much.
what's the difference?
Not much, honestly.
I can't wait to. Where you live,
Governments-
Microsoft of America?
Right?
Oh, okay, that's a good question. Which evil corporation would you prefer to live in their country?
Oh,
Current corporation.
current corporations.
I mean, I don't know if I want to live in like a micronation like Jamba Juice, Colombia, or something like that.
Man, that is something like I'm pretty sure I don't want to live in the meta.
You don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. You got to choose. You got to choose.
I don't.
Meta
I don't
be
think.
like,
I don't think I want Meta. SpaceX would probably, or whatever Elon is running, whatever becomes the Twitter X of America would be probably where I'd prefer to be at.
Instead of Pornhub, you'd have Twitter XXX.
Yes,
I want to live in the micronation of Dyson.
Dyson, huh?
Yes. I don't care what people say. I love that little blade, the blade hand dryer,
Right.
where you stick your hands in and just pull them out over a 12-second release. I think they work fantastic.
They're loud as hell.
They are, but I don't care. I'm not putting one in my bathroom and waking the wife up at night. My God, I'd be dead. I would be like, where's Dave? His wife killed him. He woke her up at 3 a.m. drying his hands. But think about all the cool things that they. I mean, you'd have like a Segway, but it would just have the Uniball like the Dyson vacuum. It'd be awesome. And I think they're less of an evil corporation.
I get it. Well, that's why I chose kind of Elon as far as goes. I mean, he's insane, but he's not been super.
Well, he's autistic.
Super evil that I can spot. Like he
And
does
all the roads would
crazy
be-
stuff. Like he's all for like people just doing brain surgery on themselves. But
Maybe not on myself.
well, he's all for something like that.
Have you been to the? Oh, we are so far off topic. Have you been to the Buffalo Science Center and played with the robotic surgeon that they have
Yes.
there? Could you imagine? I'm really good at that because my job. But could you imagine trying to do that on yourself in a mirror? Everything's backwards. You're looking up at a mirror or a monitor and trying to do brain surgery on yourself. I think I'll leave that to somebody else.
All right, I get it. I totally get it. I can't imagine it because I'm such a klutz that like, whoops, and then I'm talking.
There
all kinds
goes
of weird-
rational thought.
Yeah, right. So I don't see that happening for myself. What else we got? We got about 4 more minutes.
Matt, step in as a special guest for a second. We got a question for you. And I swear to God, it is not about the ghost nun.
Here, man. I'm gonna.
What's up?
Hey,
Right up the nose. Woo! What is your prediction for the next science fiction thing turning into science fact? And don't worry, we'll tell you if you're wrong.
Oh boy, that's a good question.
We're totally off the rails at this point, so.
yeah, we're about ready to end this show.
Are you? I'm gonna say
But this is
some kind of like military technology, like lasers, like killer lasers and stuff, and that might be around already.
Well, kill lasers are sort of. I mean,
But
they
like
really
Death
want
Star
them.
level to Death Star to like the magnitude of the Death Star.
Do you know who Kyle Hill is?
I'm not familiar.
Okay, so he's a science communicator on the internet.
Okay.
I just look him up and look up his Death Star video. He goes over so photons, which are light, have weight. Well, sort of. They have pressure when they move.
Right.
So he does a calculation on how pasted everyone in the Death Star would be from the equal but opposite reaction of that laser firing.
yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
Kyle Hill, Death Star. Look it up. It's amazing. It's like a 20-minute video because he goes through all the science of it. It's
Kind of onto
amazing.
something a little bit maybe.
Well, I mean, first off, the energy consumption on those would be a little hard pressed right now.
Well, that's why science fiction is science fact.
Yeah. And my audio, it's still recording. Thank God. Ooh, I almost thought the show was going to have to be done through the audio on this, which was messed up the last time. So I was glad I had this audio to work with. But that energy thing, it's just cost us so high until we get fusion reaction down. I don't think we can do that.
Well, like they say, 10 years.
Yeah,
Inside
another
joke,
10
all the
years,
science fiction fans out there.
You know, but the military has had them out there for a while now. I mean,
Yeah.
this is how they're anti-missile systems. There are anti-aircraft systems that use lasers.
The problem, so the anti-missile systems actually work.
They work.
The problem, it's not like an AWACS system, like on your
the
wall of lead off a carrier. The problem is tracking. So if I am firing at a ballistic missile that is moving at 1,000 miles an hour, literally, and I am trying to track with my laser from its point on the horizon to the point on the horizon, the speed alone that needs to track and keep that laser focused on one spot on that missile to break it is the problem.
Well, that's why it's been beat by hypersonic missiles, which is, currently the biggest threat that we have is that there is no Star Wars system that will beat out a hypersonic missile, and there's very few land-based systems that could do the same thing. We have to know of the launch. You have to know its trajectory quick enough to be able to launch a hypersonic missile to intercept it.
Which enters into Ender's Game again.
So
there's a line in Ender's Game, and I'm paraphrasing, where the Colonel is telling Ender, before you pull the trigger, remember that those bullets in space will hit something somewhere sometime.
Right.
So you got to make sure you've got your target, so you don't overshoot and then kill some poor farmer seven galaxies over.
Right.
I always think about that when I think about Star Wars, the not TV show, the missile system in space. And I always think about that, and I'm like, oh man, that's right. If I shoot this railgun, it's gonna hit something somewhere.
Even that Star Wars system was science fiction torn sort of science fact. I mean, there is some truth in it. There's a lot of government secrecy over what the actual truth is.
Yeah, lasers in space is.
It's also kind of like a no-no for a bunch of countries, and so, like I said, there's some interesting aspects of what's actually real or not real.
That's a good one. Rods from God,
right?
That's a beautiful
kinetic
one.
Weapons.
Just drop a giant tree stump from space,
and it can happen, and they are as damaging as a nuclear weapon without the radiation.
Yeah. Right now we're looking at upgrading the GPS system to GPS 3.
Yes.
And that's adding, I forget what the number was, but it was hundreds of mini satellites.
Yeah. Well, the distance for GeoSat 3 to current GeoSat 2 is a closer distance, which is why they needed more satellites.
Yeah. Increase the net density, but the number of satellites. I mean, now A-Rod takes a couple of more steroids and knocks the ball out of the park straight up. He's going to hit a satellite now.
Yeah, I know, and that's the problem. That's the problem with the Elon Musk Starlink system. That's low Earth orbit for that
that's
system.
high density too. Oh, question for you.
Okay,
Captain Tangent. When you are using your telescope,
yes,
do you ever see satellites? Can you see satellites?
I see satellites in space going by when I'm using that stuff. I typically don't see them in the telescope because if you do see them in the telescope, they flash by so quickly. It's not like I can snap a picture.
26,000 miles an
hour,
yeah.
So when you're looking at less than a 1 degree angle, you don't have that chance to really snap a picture or react quick enough to see them. But I have seen them in the telescope, not clearly because I'm focused way out there and not focused way in.
Yeah, like I'm looking at the door, my hands right here. I don't really see my
But
hands
I've
so
seen some of that on occasion, but so rarely right now. But the last time I really used the telescope was probably pre-COVID. Now I'm going to do a dark sky sight here this summer, and I might record an episode from that dark sky sight.
Explain to the
with my engineer.
unengaged what that is.
So a dark sky site is basically an area of the country where within 200 miles of that area,
no, okay, I get it.
No external lights or
So
that kind of stuff that
no
are designed to
light.
show up in there. So all the towns within 50 miles of
Light pollution. That's where.
the light pollution. So the dark sky site I go to is in Pennsylvania. It's really an old aircraft field at the top of a mountain.
Oh, is that the one where they have a radio dead zone?
Yeah, they have like all kinds of stuff on over there. And it's about as close as I've ever gotten as the middle of the ocean when I was in the Navy of seeing the night sky.
Yeah, I find that incredibly creepy. I was in
Um,
Oklahoma, in the middle of a field. I mean, there was probably nothing for 10, 20 miles.
But when you actually see the Milky Way and
Yeah,
see the
you're like,
color behind it, and
I had no idea there's that many.
Yeah, it's a trip.
City kid.
It's a total trip. I mean, the city just sees the bright ones, but there's so many more out there.
It's funny because I was taught to do celestial navigation for sailing. North
Right.
Star's over here. Big Dipper, Sirius, things like that, to get your relative position and use a sextant during the day if you want to do all that. So I mean, it's not like I'm not used to seeing stars, but I've only ever seen a bright ones, and I go out there and I'm like, if you're in the middle of the ocean, how do you do this?
Yeah, because there's so many more stars. You have to actually pick out the bright ones from the darker
Yeah,
ones.
and you got to be a whole lot smarter than me.
All right, guys. I think we're gonna call this episode. We keep getting off tangent here, a little bit loopy.
That's why he's having someone else come in for the next episode. That way he doesn't have to change the name to
No,
Off Tangent
no.
Sci-Fi.
Thanks, Dave. That may be on the Area of Grievances thing. I don't know how Matt's planning on doing that one. I still am interested in that show when he gets it going. So yeah, he keeps saying it's starting soon. May something or other. May the 4th. Oh, May the 4th be with you.
That makes sense.
So,
I got to get a Grievous helmet.
all right, guys. Thanks for listening. Again, like, share, follow me on Facebook, follow me on YouTube, follow me on your favorite podcast media. Rate me. Let me know how I'm doing.
You said rate, right?
Rate, yes.
What?
Rate Dave.
No, don't rate me.
Because- So I know whether or not I should keep using him as a guest. All right, guys. Take it easy. Bye.